How y'all doing? I'm Paul Ryan, your host of the Across the Cowboys podcast. If you're new to the show, thank you for joining us. And to our regular listeners, welcome back. With me, as always, is my co-host, the greatest co-host in the world, Mike The Pig Crum. Mike, how are you?
Doing good, my friend. Like I said, I'm on a little late. I'm only here a little bit. We had I don't know if I talked about it on the pod or not, about the two dogs going missing. It might have happened after we recorded.
I think so.
Yeah. So they were gone Tuesday night, and we just got them back this afternoon. So now all 6 dogs are back running around, and the two ones are tired. So yeah, it's been eventful, but now we're on and ready to talk football, and I'm excited.
Yes, sir. Well, Mike, before we get into our discussion tonight, let the people know where they can find you on Twitter.
At CD Piglet, guys, nice and easy.
Guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. Well, here we are with episode 2 of Mike and I's newest series, Cowboys Crystal Ball, a series where Mike and I bring on guests to discuss the Cowboys schedule in 4-game increments, predict the Cowboys record, and share their Super Bowl predictions. Our guest today is a Cowboys fan in Commanderland. You can find him on YouTube breaking down film and analyzing players. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. DMV Fanartic to the show. DMV, how are you, sir?
I'm pretty good, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Always looking to have Cowboys talk with people who are dedicated like you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, we thank you so much for coming on tonight. DMV, before we get talking Cowboys, can you let the people know where they can find you on Twitter?
Yes, sir. It's pretty easy. DMV Fanatic 1 on Twitter. A good portion of the day, either talking trash or giving insight. But I think that I'm a good follow. I know that I follow a lot of people who are great follows. You guys are included, and we talk a lot of Cowboys, and that's it.
Absolutely.
Not just great follow, but you drop a lot of really good work, man. I try to promote it as much as I can. So you're one of the good ones. I love your breakdowns of stuff, man. It's really good work.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
So tonight we're going to be talking about weeks 5 through 9 of the Dallas Cowboys regular season schedule. However, there was an interesting development during OTAs last week that I felt was worth discussing. So before we discuss the schedule, we'll touch on that first. DMV, I'm curious. There looks to be a battle for wide receiver 4 between Simi Fehoko and Jalen Tolbert. Is it better, in your opinion, to hear Fehoko or Tolbert having a good camp?
It's better to have Tolbert to have a better camp. I think that we gave a lot more. We invested a lot more into Tolbert.
Yeah.
With him being a 3rd round pick, and quite frankly, I think he's the better talent out of the two. I know that Fehoko runs that 4.3 that everybody talks about, but Jalen Tolbert he runs a 4.3 too, and I want to say that he has a great I know that he has good route running ability. I just think he's more talented, and they gave up a little bit more. So you want to see the young guy get confidence. Now, here's the thing: Simi has had years to figure it out,
right?
And Jalen Tolbert, this is his second time. So I think at this point, we've seen what we're going to see from Simi. Every year, it's watch out for Simi, and it doesn't happen. So I think at this point, we've seen enough of Simi. We need to see some new blood come in here and make an impact.
Absolutely. Mike, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on that question?
I'm Tolbert too, and the main reason for me is I'm always trying to think. I want to win this year, but I'm also always trying to think ahead. And Simi Fehoko is 1 year. So let's say, I don't know, something happens to somebody. Fehoko is a wide receiver 4. He becomes wide receiver 3, and he has a breakout year, right? 860 yards, 5 touchdowns. Now you got to sign him. Are you going to sign him off that 1 year, off that one good year? Or are you going to get a comp pick for him? In Dallas' formula, you're probably going to get a comp pick. With Jalen Tolbert, I got 3 more years of control minimum. So him breaking out would be more important. They also put a lot of effort into him last year. Like, they were trying to move him everywhere, and that kind of overloaded the kid from a small school and everything. And I just think it's a lot better for him to be the guy that comes up nothing against Fiocco. You want as many weapons as you can. Let them both be badasses. But if you're giving me one option, you want Fiocco. I mean, Tolbert. Woo!
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I apologize, but let me ask you, as far as wide receiver 4, is it one of those two you see as the best option? Obviously, we're saying Tolbert. Or what about Turpin or somebody else, maybe Cropper from Fresno State, my spot? Who would be your ideal wide receiver 4?
I think it is. I think my ideal wide receiver 4 is Tolbert. Just based off of what I was saying, talent wise, I just think that if you look at him and you look at the things that he's able to do, I think that he could, if he has a good year this year, the next year he's going to. I don't think that there's a ceiling on Tolbert with those other guys, and Cropper, we haven't seen much from him yet, so it's really hard for me to gauge that. Yeah. I need to be able to see him at NFL speed before I can really gauge anything with that. But with Tolbert, I don't really think there's a ceiling. I think that if he gets good, he can get really, really good. And like you said, the 3 years with that, it just makes a lot of sense for that to work.
I was just giving some love to my Fresno guy. That's all.
Yeah, we made some big changes at the receiver spot this year. Acquiring Brandon Cooks. How big of an issue were receivers last year, in your opinion, DMV? That receivers not named CD.
I think that it was a huge issue, and I think that the Cowboys were telling you that it was a huge issue by some of the simple actions. Sorry if you guys hear like some helicopters flying. I'm in the DC area, so there's always something going on. Like yesterday, they had a plane crash over here somewhere. But yeah, I think that it was a problem because they let you know that they pretty much brought Odell Beckham here on the date. They ended up getting T.Y. Hilton later on in the year. Noah Brown was dropping passes that ended up being interceptions. Some of our receivers were not really catching the ball, not really getting open, not really understanding the option route system. We started Dennis Houston for a game or two early on in the year, So I think it was a big problem, and hopefully with the move of going to go get Brandon Cooks, actually having a healthy Gallup instead of rushing him out there like they did last year. Actually, to go back on that point, rushing Gallup out there let you know how bad we were at the receiver position last year. So having a healthy Gallup this year and bringing in Cooks, I think that it's going to be a huge upgrade.
Yeah, that Noah Brown being statistically the second best wide receiver, that it blows me away, because it's like you're taking a 7th round special teams guy who's like a specialty blocker and everything, and you're like, all right, dude, you're the one, you're the guy now. You're going to be number 2 because of Gallup's injury, and man, it blows me away that was a thing last year. Like, you were a contender, you were a top 3 team in the NFC, and your second wide receiver is Noah Brown. And no disrespect for him, he's great at what he did. He's not a wide receiver 2.
Not at all. And I actually think, and I'm really proud of Noah Brown. If Noah Brown ever watches this, or I'm not going to say anything like terrible about Noah Brown. I just don't think that Noah Brown was good enough to be a wide receiver 2. But for where Noah Brown came from, how he had to get it out of the mud, is very, very respectable. Mm-hmm. And he exceeded everything he was supposed to exceed. So big ups to Noah Brown for that. With that being said, the NFL is a dog-eat-dog business. You put the best talent out there, and he wasn't the best talent. Now, with that being said, if he ended up being your wide receiver 2, it's because you didn't do enough in the offseason. It means you gave up too much, and you didn't get anything back for what you gave up for Amari Cooper. And so I think they know that, and they made sure that they fixed that this year.
And how much better do you think they are going to be with the additions they made and the difference with Gallup having another year?
I think it's everything. I think that it's a huge upgrade with how we are right now, looking in that room. Not to mention, and the biggest upgrade is going to be the play calling, the changing of the play calling, because I mean, at the end of the day, Kellen kind of ran the system, and now you have a known play caller in Mike McCarthy who knows how to get his guys layups when they need them, and so you got a CD Lamb. CD needs a catch. He knows how to get him one. Gallup has a matchup. They know how to get them the ball. Same thing with Cooks. So not only do we have the guys that are going to help us, but we have the play caller that's going to help highlight some of the things we need highlighted in this offense.
Yes, sir. All right, let's talk some schedules here, gentlemen. And here we are at Week 5 versus San Francisco. In 2022, the regular season record for the Niners was 13-4. Their playoff record was 2-1. They lost in the NFC title game. And their 2023 strength of schedule is the 15th most difficult. A key stat from 2022 is Christian McCaffrey had a rushing, receiving, and a passing touchdown in the same game. You talk about a weapon there for Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. When you look at this these two teams, DMV, after back-to-back playoff losses, is the rivalry between Dallas and San Francisco officially back?
I don't think it's back simply because they beat us in the playoffs twice. The only way for the rivalry to be back is for us to beat them in the playoffs. That's what made that rivalry was the playoff matchups. And so right now they have 2 up on us, and we have to respond. Actually, if you think about it, I think they've beaten us the last 3 times in the playoffs that we faced them. Because if you go back to the 95 NFC Championship game, was it 95 or 94?
Yeah.
But they beat us, so they beaten us the last 3 times. So the rivalry is not back until we, get on the other side of that, on the other side of that game.
I like that answer, man.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. They went 13-4. They do not have a quarterback. It blows my mind. Do you think that we go into San Francisco as the underdog, regardless if it's Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, some dude Kyle Shanahan knows from the liquor store?
Of course. Because at the end of the day, although they didn't out-tough us last year, it's perceived that they are punking us. So, of course, we're going to go in there and be the underdog. And I'm going to be the first to tell you, I don't even need the next question. We're going to beat the hell out of San Francisco Week 5. We're going to beat the hell out of San Francisco. I'm going to say it right here. I'm going to be bold with it. They're not going to have a quarterback. San Francisco has slow starts, notorious slow starts. So the thing about them is they normally get rolling later on in the season from the middle part to the end. So with the notorious slow starts and Kyle Shanahan kind of figuring out what this team is, we're going to beat the hell out of them because we know who we are and we know what we are.
I like that confidence, DMV. But, if you had to pick one of the quarterbacks to start, would it be Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold? Who would you like to see the Dallas defense get a chance to get at in Week 5?
I want Brock Purdy again. I want that get back. Like I want Brock Purdy. I want Brock Purdy healthy.
Yeah.
And that's who I want to see. I don't want to hear an excuse about Trey Lance, not being their guy. I don't want to hear about Sam Darnold, being a bust. I don't want to hear about that. I want Brock Purdy. I want him healthy. I hope that he comes in and he's playing the best football of his life because we owe them some get back.
Give me Christian McCaffrey. No, I'm just so this is a tough one. I like this question. This is Paul's question too. Between the two teams, is the biggest advantage for San Francisco the difference in coaching, or do you see it a talent on one side of the ball or the other?
I thought last year it was. I think it's been coaching. But the first year it was Kyle Shanahan found ways to nullify Micah Parsons out of that game. This time he did not outcoach. He was not able to outcoach Dan Quinn. I think Dan Quinn and that defense was all over him. I think Kellen Moore shrunk as soon as as Tony Pollard went down, there was no plan. And I just finished listening. On the way into this, I was listening to Brian Broaddus on Boss Cowboys, the show. And a big reason that we always ask, like, what happened with Malik Davis in that game? Apparently, there was some rift in house where Malik Davis was upset about him not getting a chance, and that's why he didn't get snaps in that game. And they just went with Ezekiel Elliott, even with Tony Pollard going down. And that, to me, is pretty weak, and we deserve to lose that game if that's how we were going to carry it. Because obviously circumstances change, and you got to put your big boy pants on, and you just got to put your pride aside. And we got to put our best foot forward in that situation.
I want to make a comment on that. I don't bring up stuff that I hear very often on the pod, but one of the reasons that a lot of people still want Ezekiel Elliott back. I love Ezekiel Elliott. He did a lot for this team. I love him. The reason I do not want him back in this uniform is, regardless of how he plays, he brings cachet. And so people are going to lean on that. His name, and the truth is that if your number one thing for a running back is like, well, yeah, but what are we going to do about the pass blocking? Like that's not going to work out. I'm a big Malik Davis fan. I loved him. I wish he would have got opportunities. Not that Zeke couldn't get the ball at all, but Zeke was the 10th highest attempts per year. God, that's ridiculous. I don't care how much you love Ezekiel Elliott. He was one of, if not the lowest efficiency runner in the league, and you had him 10th in most carries. That's malpractice. That's malpractice. You're killing your quarterback.
It's like I could argue both sides to that, because I just did, as you guys talked about, I did 2 film breakdowns of Jake Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot. And if you watch those breakdowns, a lot of the successful runs out of that was 12 and 13 personnel, and it was Ezekiel Elliott running when he was healthy, And I don't even think it wasn't even just him being healthy. He was hurt in the Giants game on Thanksgiving, and he still gave them work. I really think that we got away from when Dalton Schultz was hurt. We leaned more on 12 and 13 personnel and the concepts and the run concepts and things that we were doing. We were doing it to open up the run game. When Schultz came back, we became more of what Kellen wanted to do, which was air the ball out, and we didn't have an identity. With Dak out, with Schultz out, we had to lean on an identity, and we had to scheme the run game open, and we did a hell of a job doing so, and we didn't continue to do that once those guys came back. So I don't think it was all on Zeke.
No. To be clear, I don't believe so either. My problem is the amount of I would be okay if it was running back A and Ezekiel Elliott was that guy, and half his carries split between Pollard and Malik Davis, and they got a little bit more out of a 3-back thing. My thing was him having top 10 in carries. That is because he is Ezekiel Elliott. If he had any other name, he's not going to be top 10 in carries. He'd have still got carries deservingly, but he wouldn't have been top 10. And that's why when I tell people you can't have Zeke back, it's because of that. Because if Zeke's in there, you're going to split carries with him, and the other guys aren't going to get him. And if it's Ronald Jones could have the same exact production as Ezekiel Elliott, and they're gonna cut his carries in half because he's Ronald Jones. He doesn't have that name here. He didn't do anything here, and so that's why I'm for the moving on. It's not as much a shot on Zeke as it is he just carries too much weight here. He was a top 5 pick. He did so much for the team. Like, you're not going to come in and give him 7 touches. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I do think that the ownership had something to do with that, but I could also say the type of running, like I was pointing out, the type of things they had to do because we had Cooper Rush quarterback back in this team. Like, I'm watching the film, guy, and I'm sitting here telling you guys, and I'm telling anybody who's listening who was like, Cooper Rush is better than Dak. Nah, he was not. We had to lean on Zeke quite a bit And that's why some of those carries got the way that they did. And also understand a lot of that was early on before they knew that Tony could really carry the load. We didn't know per se that Tony could really do it until Zeke was out, and he had to do so a couple of times in the Green Bay game and against Chicago. So I think that was the moment where the change of the guard really happened, where they said, okay, Tony is our best guy. And we needed to see it. We did. But I do understand what you're saying. For me, in bringing Zeke back, he would have to have a defined role. He would have to know, everybody would have to know that this is Tony's team. This is Tony. We're behind Tony, and you're coming in for a defined role. You're a spell guy. You're a backup guy. You're a goal line guy, and the salary would dictate it. I think a lot of us, if it wasn't for Zeke making that amount of money, I don't think a lot of people would have a problem with so much of his product and what he was able to do for
Agreed.
us. So,
agreed.
You kind of touched on an earlier DMV. I think I know where you're going to go with this, but is this a win or a loss for San Francisco in Week 5?
Oh, we're gonna beat their ass. We're gonna whoop them. Sorry, can I say that on here?
Oh yeah,
we're gonna whoop.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
We're foul mouth here.
Mike, how about you?
Yeah, we're gonna beat the hell out of San Francisco, straight up.
The only way that we lose this game is if the O-line just was not figured out and they're in shambles. So I think that's it. We would be in trouble if we lost this. It would mean the O-line is not in good shape. And I don't believe that's going to be a fact. So I got Dallas winning it.
Yeah.
After me, it's after a tough 4-game stretch and playing on the road 3 times out of their first 5 games to start the season. Dallas loses a close one.
You're dead to us. What happened? You were such a homer last episode.
We're 4-1 based on my calculations, Mike.
We're both 4-1. I think I have us 4-1 now too.
Yes, sir. I believe so. Okay, here we are, Week 6 at Los Angeles Chargers. In 2022, the Chargers were 10-7. Their playoff record was 0-1. They lost in the wild card game. And in 2023, their strength of schedule is the 12th most difficult. A key stat from 2022, the Chargers offense was top 5 in both rushing and passing, but outside the top 10 in scoring. Did Dallas make the right decision by letting Kellen Moore walk?
Absolutely. I think that they are a year too late. I thought that Kellen should have walked after that San Francisco game in Dallas. And I actually, to be honest with you, I feel like Kellen Moore, as soon as Mike McCarthy was hired, Mike McCarthy should have been calling the plays. Maybe Kellen Moore could have been the offensive coordinator, but I felt and he could have been installed, learning behind Mike McCarthy. But I'd seen enough of Mike McCarthy in Green Bay. We've been on the other side of that to know that he knows what he's doing, calling plays. I thought that from day one, Mike should have been calling plays. So I would say this is a few years too late, especially a year too late for certain. So I do think they made the right move. I know that inside the building, a lot of the offensive players are relieved. I don't think that he was reaching that room the way that is perceived. I don't think that him and Dak were the greatest of friends. I from what I understand, and I'm not telling you something that I'm just bringing out of nowhere. From what I understand, Kellen wasn't a guy that really. I'm not gonna say he didn't believe in the guys, but he wasn't like you look at Dan Quinn, and that whole defense embodies what Dan Quinn is. With Kellen Moore, there was no real personality with him, and I don't think you got complete buy-in. And so it was definitely time for him to walk.
Yeah, that his inability to use running backs in the passing game and tight ends on anything up the seam, just it blew my mind. He just seemed to. He would not consistently do either of those things. And I'm excited because Mike McCarthy is a guy that, and Schottenheimer especially, will lean on his running backs in the passing game. And I think that does amazing things when you have guys like Tony Pollard and Malik Davis, and you could throw Turpin back there, and you have Deuce Vaughn now. So I'm really excited to see how they use the backs in the passing game.
Okay, I saw in the comments somebody said that my mic was having issues. If somebody in the comments can let me know if it's still having issues, let me know. I'll switch mics or whatnot. But yeah, that's what I heard. So I know you guys are hearing me. Normally, if you guys hear me clear, it's normally clear on there. But I'm just trying to make sure that we're getting the best sound.
It's gone in and out a little bit, but we've had some internet issues. So I was like, it's probably something internet wise and not really mic wise. But yeah, it goes in and out a little bit, but not to where I can't understand, what you're saying or anything.
Okay, gotcha. Because when I'm looking up here and I see like all of the green, it shows that it's supposed to be working, but I just wanted to make sure you guys can hear me. So am I in and out still right now, or are we good?
No, this is as clear as it's been.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Bet.
Appreciate that. A peek behind the scenes, guys. DMV, the ultimate professional.
Yeah, he knows what's up. This ain't his first rodeo.
Yeah, I know.
Question for Kellen Moore. Is Herbert a better fit for him than Dak was?
I don't know. Because I don't think Herbert's a better quarterback than Dak. And I'll say that I think that he might be a better talent. I do think he has a better arm.
Right.
But he suffered from the same thing that Dak did with the Chargers, which is lack of identity and a lot of passing when they don't have answers for anything. So I think it'll probably end up being about the same. But I think that Kellen will probably be a little bit better than what he had. So he might have a little bit more efficiency, but I think it'll probably be about the same stats wise, win and losses wise.
The thing that trips me out about Herbert is, I try not to engage anymore with it because it's like, whatever, Dak's a good quarterback. I'm tired of arguing about the plus and minus, but people will be like, Dak's not top 10. I go, why? He has great stats, this and that. Well, he doesn't lead his team to victories. He doesn't do this and that. I go, okay, who's in your top 10? Justin Herbert.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Absolutely. And I think that me and my girl Aisha Morrison, we were talking a little bit earlier, and we were talking about Dak and where he stands as far as quarterbacks, and she said that she thought Dak was top 5, and I was like top 5, and then I thought about it and I said, you know what? If Dak was anywhere else, I probably would have him top 5, but because he's in Dallas, I got him at about 8 to 10. But if he was somewhere else, he'd be what? We would look at him like he was Josh Allen. We would look at him like he was Justin Herbert, and he would be a top 5 quarterback. I mean, that's not me being a homer. That's me looking at quarterbacks with similar success, with the interception problems that apparently are there now. And nobody here is going to dispute that Josh Allen's a top 5 quarterback. He's in the MVP conversation every year. But just a year prior, before Dak being injured, he threw for 37 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. So you can tell me that that's not top 5 worthy? It is. But unfortunately, when you wear the star on your helmet, you're scrutinized a little bit differently. And I would say I do that as well. It's something that maybe I need to get a little bit away from. That's why I'm trying to be more confident as a fan, because a lot of times us content creators, our media, and I think Jay Tuck pointed this out, we've made it a thing to where the norm is to be scary. The norm is to be, oh, we got to hope for the worst to happen or accident waiting to happen. You know what? We won 12 games 2 years in a row. If this happened anywhere else, that fan base would be very, very confident. Pretty sure if you look at Buffalo right now, they're not talking about accident waiting to happen. And we've won championships and they haven't. They lost 4 in a row. And I'm pretty sure if you go to Buffalo, they're very confident in their football team. So there's nothing wrong with us being confident. Sorry, I went on a rant, but
no worries. No worries at all.
Have you heard of my 3 to 5 rule, DMV?
No, what's that?
Okay, so anytime you see a list put up by anybody media-wise, the Dallas Cowboy player, coach, whatever it is, will be 3 to 5 spots lower than where that person actually believes they belong, because the idea is to enrage the fan base.
Absolutely.
So if somebody says Dak is the 11th best quarterback, you automatically go, okay, they actually believe he's between 7 and or between 6 and 8, because they automatically drop them down intentionally to get the fan base to go, what? You have Daniel Jones above him. They don't really believe Daniel Jones is better than Dak Prescott. They just, unless you're a Giants fan, anybody that analyzes film and sees quarterback play could easily tell you Deshaun Watson right now, coming off his thing, is not better. Daniel Jones is not better. They're just guys. You go, they're not Kirk Cousins is not a better quarterback. He puts up stats, but you can watch and see he's not better. But they'll put them above to get the Cowboys fan base to quote tweet it. Look at this idiot. Look at this, that, and that. So anytime you see a list like that, just move the guy up 3 to 5 spots.
Or how about this? Heck, I actually don't believe your theory when it comes to the coaches, because I seen a list where they had Mike McCarthy as the 21st best coach in the league. And it's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, how the hell do you have
That's not
Sirianni
real.
better than Mike McCarthy? What's his record against Sirianni? Like 3-1? He's whooped his ass. He's whooped his ass.
I saw that guy. He's an Eagles guy. I can't remember his name. There's no reason to promote his stuff. The fan did it, and everybody else had him on. But he comes on to defend his list and goes, well, I have to put Arthur Smith above Mike McCarthy, because do you think that Mike McCarthy could leave the Atlanta Falcons to 6 wins? And they're sitting there going, Cooper Rush went 4-1 with him. How do you even? And then he goes, well, Kellen Moore does this or that. But then when it comes to the playoff loss, what does he say? Well, they lost to Brock Purdy. Well, yeah, but you just praised Kellen Moore for the 12 wins. You gave him and Dan Quinn all the credit. Then when it comes to the playoff game, Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, no, I don't want to hear that, because we smoked the NFC South winner. We smoked them. We smoked Tampa Bay in the playoffs when everybody had us losing. They had us losing going into that game. We smoked the GOAT. We smoked the GOAT out of football. All right. We beat him so bad. He's going into the booth. All right. When everybody picked Dallas to lose that game. So what do you mean, can Mike McCarthy go into Atlanta and win 6 games? Man, Mike McCarthy probably would have went into Atlanta with what they had and won 8 to 9. Absolutely, he could win 6 games in Atlanta.
He won a Super Bowl with like 7 starting players injured. And I know he has Aaron Rodgers. How's Aaron Rodgers done without him? Has he done anything without him?
He honestly, if you think about it, right? Why do people do that? Why do they say if he didn't have Aaron Rodgers, he wouldn't be anything? It was Mike McCarthy who made the decision to move on from Brett Favre to start Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers stunk that first year. They went 6-10, I think.
After grooming him.
Yeah. So why doesn't he get credit? Why didn't he get credit for that? Or one thing that I didn't know was I didn't know Mike McCarthy was the offensive coordinator of Aaron Brooks and that New Orleans team. I didn't know that. That team was explosive.
Mm-hmm.
With Joe Horn and Aaron Brooks and those guys down in New Orleans. That was probably one of the times New Orleans was as exciting as they were before Sean Payton got there. So, why doesn't he get credit for some of the things he did in San Francisco? Mike McCarthy can coach some football. I think people give Aaron Rodgers the benefit of the doubt so much that they think Mike McCarthy just wasn't a good coach, which
we can continue this rant and we can talk about Sean Payton and but let's get back.
We'll move on. My bad.
We'll get back to it.
No worries. We'll kind of jump ahead here. I know you mentioned earlier about Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense not really having an identity, and when things were going wrong, they just kind of would throw the ball to solve all their problems. In this matchup, do you think that if Dallas can contain Austin Eckler, that this will be an easy W?
I think Kellen Moore is going to find a way to contain Austin Eckler, because The one thing that he hasn't figured out as an offensive coordinator is how to stick with the run or really run effectively. I don't think Eckler is going to be a factor in this offense with Kellen Moore calling plays, because if you think about it, he found ways to take Tony Pollard out of games, and it wasn't until last year with Zeke going out that they finally started utilizing Tony Pollard the way that they needed to utilize him. So but with that being said, yeah, I do think that if we contain Austin Eckler, I won't say it'll be an easy W because the Chargers play everybody tough. They don't just get smacked. It's always an entertaining game where maybe they're down and they have to throw a whole bunch and then they get back into a game. I don't think it'll be an easy W, but I do think that Dallas is the better football team.
That's the thing with the Eckler. Not only does he, but he doesn't use them. He doesn't use running backs in the passing game. And we don't even know if Eckler's going to be there. Isn't he a holdout right now? Like he didn't sign his tag.
He renegotiated to get paid.
Okay, he is there. Well, I don't know what I'm doing. Paul's the brains of this thing. I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, let's get to it, because you kind of touched on the weakness there with Eckler not getting the ball in the run game and everything. So let's get down to it. Win or loss in this game?
I think it's a win. I think Dallas wins this game because the one thing that we will be able to do, I think, with adding a guy like Schoonmaker, with having Ferguson, I think we have the ability to line up and run right at him like we did a couple of years ago. And that's not the type of football game that the Chargers want to play. They're not very good at it. And I think that that's how Dallas wins. I don't think that it'll be an easy win. I think that it could be ugly like it was the last time, but I think Dallas comes out on top.
Mike, how about you?
Man, we came to a different conclusion, but I know this guy knows his stuff because I was thinking the same thing. Chargers aren't getting out of that two shell. They're going to let you run, and we're going to go too tight end. My worry about this game is the Niners are going to beat us up. And I don't know about the travel. Are they going to go West Coast back home and then West Coast again? Are they going to stay on the West Coast? If you stay, can you stay mentally, or are you out doing West Coast things? Because I'm here in Cali. We have distractions here. So I think the combination of not knowing how they're going to use the travel and how going from playing the Niners and how you're going to get beat up in that matchup to how you're going to have to play this game with that two deep shell they're going to play, where you're going to have to play physical. I just feel like Moore's going to be able to do enough. They know each other enough where he may be able to get a score or two and pull out a close one. So I got us taking an L in this one, much as I don't like.
But you know what though? That, if you look at how our practices have always gone, the defense has always smoked Kellen Moore in the offense. You know what I'm saying? So I think Dan Quinn, that's actually part of it right there, where I think we'll be a lot more familiar with some of the things and how to manipulate that offense, because I mean, teams were able to manipulate us a lot into running a lot of curl routes and stuff, things we didn't really want to do with all of the option routes. So, I mean, I definitely see what you're saying, but I think if like you guys talked about before with Herbert, what's going to be the storyline going into this game? It's going to be Herbert is better than Dak. Is Herbert that much better than Dak? Is Herbert this, Herbert that? That's enough to wake this team up on back-to-back emotional weeks. And I think they'll play for Dak. So, you know, don't forget that factor about the storylines we're going to hear, because it was tough for us to go into Minnesota and last year, and because of that, because of the Kirk Cousins, the ass comments and all of that stuff, we went out there and beat the hell out of Minnesota. So yeah, just remember those storylines. And then Kellen Moore too. Oh, they're not gonna get distracted playing Kellen Moore. And then Justin Herbert. Oh yeah, if they lose, it's because the Chargers were just better than us that day. It won't be because of distractions.
That's fair.
You know, after their first loss of the season, Dallas bounces back and wins a shootout over Kellen Moore and the Chargers. Have us winning this game. You bring up an interesting point, because you talk about the Herbert Dak discussion. I think a lot of the storylines will be, was getting rid of Kellen Moore the right decision, and can Mike McCarthy, still call the plays and be a head coach?
Yeah, or it is Kellen Moore, or is Herbert what Kellen Moore needed, or because it'll be a storyline because Herbert's gonna put up stats. That offense is stat centric, so his stats are gonna look probably better than Dak's, or they'll be a little bit more inflated or something like that. So it'll be like, was Dak holding Kellen Moore back? That's really what it'll be.
Exactly. All right, here we are at the bye week, week 7. What are your thoughts on an early bye week, DMV?
What are my thoughts on the what?
Early bye week.
I'm not a big fan of it, but it's nothing we can do about it,
Right.
But the early bye week, I don't know. Like I like it a little bit later because guys can get back and all of that type of stuff. But I mean, I don't really have too many thoughts on the early bye week. I mean, they're NFL players, they gotta take care of their bodies. That's pretty much it. Hopefully we get somebody off a PUP list or something like that can help us if they're physically unable to perform. We've had that before, and the bye week is the time to get them acclimated. So, that's probably the only good thing.
Playing the Giants, the Patriots, the Niners, some pretty physical teams. It's kind of comes at a good time, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean the NFL is kind of physical anyway.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. I understand it, and understand this too. We are going to be playing some physical teams, but those other teams are going to have to play us too, and we're physical. So,
right.
So maybe they came in, or they're coming in playing a physical schedule too. And I do believe the Dallas Cowboys have morphed into one of the most physical teams in the league from being a true finesse team.
What do you do on the bye week?
What do I do?
Yeah, you ain't got Cowboys football. What are you gonna do that Sunday?
Oh, I'm going to Mark's house. I'm going to Mark Holmes' house, and we're going to eat some Jobu wings, and we're going to watch the rest of the NFC East play if they do play, or we're going to watch somebody else stink it up and actually sit and kick our feet up and and just enjoy football. That's what we'll do.
Humor me, DMB. What's a Jobu wing? What is that? Is that like a restaurant, or is that a type of wing, or what is that?
Oh man, so Mark Holmes. If you don't know who Mark Holmes is, he's pretty much a godfather of Cowboys content creation, and so it's pretty much like a buffalo wing, but he has his own spin on it, and it's probably the greatest wing in the world. If you guys are blessed to come to the DMV area, or if you ever come to a tailgate and Mark is cooking wings, get you some Jobu wings. And I'm a foodie, so I love food, and I haven't run across anything. I keep telling Mark, I said, Mark, you need to find a way to ship those things out. But he's all like, well, the quality is not gonna be the same because then I gotta put in the shipping container and it's gonna be soggy and all that. I'm like,
I like him.
Hey, that's a good man right there.
I like him.
Yeah.
Is it? Does the name have anything to do with the Major League movie?
Yes, it does. So
yeah.
So Mark actually, I think somebody said the Cowboys are so bad that Jobu can't help you. So he's a carpenter, and Mark built a wooden voodoo doll in Jobu, and he has Jobu, and it's kind of like a running joke where he gives them wings and he gives them rum and stuff like that to give us a good mojo. So
like good juju.
Yeah, I just watched Major League. So it's funny because Tuck put up a funny meme today about Zeke coming out like Wild Thing when we bring Zeke back, and I sat here and watched Major League 2 today. So I'm well versed on it right now. One of the greatest movies of all time.
Well, if Mark can't hit me up with I cook, like that is my favorite thing to do on the planet. So if he can't give me a recipe for those wings, and all I got to say is,
it's on YouTube. So he has a cooking channel.
He has it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
It's out there. I'll see if I can send it to you.
But that'd be great, man.
For sure.
You messed up the Up Yours Jobu though joke. I was going to throw that.
Oh yeah, he said that. Yeah, up yours.
All right, so realistically, here we are, week 8. What are week 7? What are your realistic record expectations heading when we get into this point?
Honestly, I have not really looked at the schedule and put like a win-loss on it. I just think Dallas will finish around 12-5. I think for me, it doesn't matter who we play. I think that this team is that good. Sure, we'll have some bumps along the way where we'll lose some games, but I do think that with the depth, with the coaching, I just kind of feel like this team will figure it out. They'll get about 12, 13 wins, and we'll be at the same place that we were, trying to get over the hump, trying to get to the NFC Championship game and figure that out. So I haven't really looked at it wins and losses, but for me, I just think that this team can compete against anybody. I think they're ready for anybody.
That's a good answer. Well, here we are heading into.
I'd say 5-1, because I believe realistically they could be undefeated, but you assume there's going to be a hiccup. So I think realistically 5-1 is absolutely possible at that point.
Definitely. So here we are, week 8 versus the Los Angeles Rams, and in 2022 the Rams were 5-12. Obviously, they missed the playoffs in 2022, and their strength of schedule in 2023 is the 9th most difficult. The NFL not really doing them a lot of favors. And a key stat for the 2022 Rams is they had 4 different players start a game at quarterback. That's never a good season. You look at Sean McVay. Where do you rank him among head coaches?
I think he's a top 5 NFL coach. He's probably the second best play caller in the game right now, in my opinion, behind Andy Reid. So I probably got my top 3 is Andy Reid, McVay, and then Shanahan. And so some of the things that he's able to do, being that young mind and being to the Super Bowl twice, bringing one home. I definitely think he's a top 5 head coach right now.
Can't argue there.
How about Cooper Kupp? He making in your top 10 wide receivers?
Healthy? For sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to put Cooper Kupp. Now, see, it's kind of weird how the receiver how it goes, right? Like, so I can't put him above like a Devontae Adams, in my opinion, because Devontae's an X. He lines up at the X. He's going to beat your double teams. Like, they kind of use Cooper Kupp to manipulate defenses, to get him against linebackers in the slot and stuff like that. But you have to put him, I mean, because of stats and some of the things that he's able to do, even with those matchups, you got to put him in the top 10. He for sure he's a top 10. He might even be a top 5 receiver.
I got him in my top 5.
Is Matthew Stafford a Hall of Famer?
Hell no.
Oh, wow. Not even after the Super Bowl ring. Okay.
Hell no. Because here's the thing about Super Bowls. Hell, Joe Flacco got a Super Bowl.
But man, the Ravens didn't do him any favors building an offense around that guy, man.
Well, I mean, Detroit didn't do Stafford really any favors like that besides Megatron. But
exactly.
I mean, but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, we got to remember in Detroit, he didn't bust a grape. And last year, Stafford didn't bust a grape. I mean, when you think of Hall of Fame, you think about, for me, can we write the game without you? Or can the game move on without you? Or when your name is brought up, like can you be erased? I think Matt Stafford can be erased from the game and nobody would miss him.
I've never thought of it that way, man. That's an interesting point you bring up there.
I have a different question, but I wanted to ask the same question a different way. Will he make the Hall of Fame?
You got to. I don't think so. I mean, for me, I don't think because I just don't think one is enough, and I don't think he's won enough as far as postseason and stuff for you to really even make that argument. Because I could argue that there were other quarterbacks with one Super Bowl that have done a lot more. Like, for example, and I know he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but let's look at Drew Brees. You know what I'm saying? Are we going to say that Drew Brees and Matt Stafford are in the same boat with having one Super Bowl? No. Aaron Rodgers has one Super Bowl, has done a lot more with in the playoffs. Russell Wilson has done more in the playoffs in success with one Super Bowl. So hell no, I don't think Matt Stafford, in my opinion, I don't think he's close unless he wins another Super Bowl. Now Eli Manning in my book would not be a Hall of Famer if he didn't have two Super Bowls. I'm having a hard time putting Eli in anyway, but he got two of them. So, you kind of know it wasn't luck.
You know why Eli's going to make it? Because when as you said, when you write the history, he beat that 15-0 team.
He did,
That's what's going to put him over the top.
He did it twice. He beat them twice. He beat Tom twice. He beat him twice. Hell, Nick Foles got a Super Bowl. He got one Super Bowl. We're going to say that Nick Foles is a Hall of Famer? I know that Stafford put up stats and stuff like that, but he wasn't winning in the playoffs. He wasn't winning against winning teams for a long time in the NFL. That was his 1 year. Hell, right now, I know he doesn't even have a Super Bowl, but I can make a case for Joe Burrow's young career right now over Stafford.
Yeah, but he's had success in the playoffs, going back to your original point about Stafford.
Yeah, exactly. If you look at his wins and losses against winning football teams, period, it's just not very, very good. It's not very good.
Yeah.
Do you think this Rams team is going into this game like it's a revenge game off last year's whooping?
Yeah, for sure. And I think they're gonna get some get back. That's a game that I have us losing that one.
Hey, I did too, man. That's crazy.
I got us losing that one. We, for some odd reason, now I know we found a way to win last year, but we normally we've beaten them. We've gone back and forth a couple times, but I just think it's their turn. Like you said,
well, since
two emotional games.
Y'all already picked yours. I'll throw mine in.
Whoa. I didn't pick. I was just saying that's what I said whenever you and I broke down the schedule. That's what I was trying to say, but I didn't pick anybody yet, my friend.
Oh, okay. My fault then. Please continue.
No, good. No, you look at this Rams team. They trade away Jalen Ramsey. They didn't really have a lot of picks, but could you see them making in the playoffs in what is kind of a bit of a weak NFC division conference, rather?
Oh, the Rams?
Yeah.
Could I see them? I mean, they have the most impactful defensive player in the league still. They have a really good play caller. I mean, it's not against the realm of possibility. The Cardinals are probably going to be terrible this year. Seattle had a good year. Seattle's supposed to be good, so they'll probably be the class of that division between them and the 49ers. They could probably slide in at like number 7 or something like that, possibly. I don't know. I suppose anything could happen with the right confidence. And like I said, they have a top 5 coach. So it's not against the realm of possibility of them making the playoffs.
And I know you said this is one you have marked down as a loss, DMV.
Yeah, I got us losing that one.
We're gonna smoke them. Dan Quinn is like Sean McVay got us when we had no defensive tackles, and he could just run the ball and control the clock and everything, and shorten the game down. Not with Dan Quinn. They're gonna get smoked. Matthew Stafford is gonna give that. Matthew Stafford, Mr. Turnover, the guy that everybody talks about. That's that guy. Is that guy?
Yeah,
he's always
very true.
Turnover. They're gonna give the ball up at least 3 times. They're going to get smacked.
Sometimes, but here's the thing about Dallas, and this is what I think will happen. Sometimes when we get big, sometimes we just have stinkers, and we don't know why we can't we can't put our finger on it. That's kind of what I think is going to happen. I'm with you in theoretics. We should smoke them, but think about the times we played Denver that we should have smoked them, and we somehow just went out there and stunk it up. It was just something. It was just something in the air, and we just stunk that day. That's why I feel like we're gonna lose. There's nothing theoretical, nothing X's and O's. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
It could be a trap game because we're at Philly the next week.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, that's kind of what I think. I think coming off of 2 emotional games, it'll be the 49ers We have the bye week, and or I forget when the bye week comes. I think the bye week is before the Rams. We normally stink off the bye week too. By the way, we normally stink coming off the bye week. Even with McCarthy, even if we win the game, we normally stink coming off the bye. So I think coming off 2 emotional games, and then having the bye, and then that game, and then Philadelphia, yeah, that's probably your trap. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think the Rams are going to put up a good fight. It's close heading into the fourth quarter, but Dak and the offense are too much to handle for Sean McVay and the Rams. Dallas has a big fourth quarter that leads them to victory over the LA Rams here in Week 8. And we're moving on to Week 9. You mentioned emotional games, DMV. Here we are, Week 9 at Philadelphia. And in 2022, the regular season record for the Eagles is 14-3. They were 3-1, lost in the Super Bowl. And they have the hardest schedule in the NFL in 2023. And a key stat from 2022, 9 of the Eagles' 14 wins were by single digits. I know this is I can't wait to hear you answer this question, but are the Eagles more talented than the Cowboys?
From a player to player standpoint, I believe they are. I think that they're more talented than Dallas. The roster is put together pretty solid. They had a really good draft. They have a lot of young talent over there. I'll let you answer your next question, because talent doesn't mean it all,
All right, okay. This is exciting. Is Hurts the number 1 QB in the NFC?
He's number 1 until somebody knocks him off, right? So, but what better than Dak knocking him off? Because Dak has owned Philadelphia, no matter what they want to say. Especially since 2019. I mean, the last 3 performances, Dallas has put up 40 points at least, and a couple of them, and 2 of them were blowouts. Backups or not. I mean, some of that happened without backups. I don't care, but I just know that it's not easy, whether you're playing against backups or not, to put up 40 in 3 consecutive times against an opponent, especially them being in your division. So they can say what they want to say. They can say ass this, ass that, but ass is a damn near guaranteed 40.
Yes, sir. Here's another tough question, or I'd like to think is a tough question. You look at Dak, you look at Jalen Hurts. Who would you rather have as your quarterback?
I think it depends on your roster. Like, if I'm Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
If I'm Philadelphia, I think they got the right guy for the job. I think Hurts is he embodies that city and what they want to do with that team. So I think that for them, yeah. For Dallas, Dak. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if Jalen Hurts could live up to the shoes of Dak and Dallas. Anywhere else, I mean, like, let's say, I think it also depends on your coach. It also depends on the culture. Mike McCarthy, more of an old school guy, so Dak is a better fit. Dak is probably more of a better fit for. He actually could fit in any scheme, but I think more of the new NFL kind of fits. More of the RPO type stuff fits Jalen Hurts, but I think it just depends on your coach's culture and what they want to build.
That's 100, dude. I love DMV has a football mind. I absolutely agree that Hurts is the number 1 QB in the NFC until knocked off. He was a All-Pro. That is not Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl don't matter. All-Pro does. And he took his team to the Super Bowl, like it or not. And for the people that say, well, yeah, look at his roster. Yeah, and guess what? He's bringing the same offense back. So until he shows that he can't do it, give the guys props. This ain't a career achievement award. We're not saying Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback right now. We're talking about right now going into 2023. And the other thing, Hurts Dak is exactly how I see it. You put Jalen Hurts on our team with our offensive line and Noah Brown as your wide receiver 2, he's going to have more struggles. You put Dak, yes, he'll be great behind that offensive line, but you put him in that offense where they're running him all the time, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to work out. It just isn't. So, you're dead on with that. Now, in the matchup here in Week 9, do you think it's going to be more about the team's defenses or the team's offenses?
I don't think that it's going to really depend on one or the other. I think it's going to be whoever puts together the more complementary game, who takes advantage of the other team's mistakes, how the flow of the game goes. I think, like, if you look at the Christmas Eve game, although Jalen Hurts didn't play, that game was peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys, and then Dallas was able to, take advantage of the last peak at the end. I could see that game going back and forth, seesawing, and whoever is able to take advantage of the late peak is who's going to win that game, or win those games when we play twice. So two very good football teams.
Yep.
Eagles is probably our biggest rivalry. When you look at Twitter, you were talking Twitter about how kind of making a name for yourself there. Is the Eagles fan base the worst thing about Twitter?
Well, probably not. I mean, I would probably I mean, we're Cowboys fans, so we see a lot of bad there. But if you talk about like real politics, like, it's nowhere close to how bad Eagle fans are. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't say it's the worst part about Twitter, but do I think that they're crybabies? Do I think that they want
Monsters.
Everything? Like, do I think that they want everything and they're entitled for no damn reason? Yeah, I do. I think that they're the biggest bunch of crybabies that I can find in the fan base. They're always crying about something. Oh, my guy wasn't ranked here. Oh, my guy wasn't ranked there. Nobody cares about that, bro. Like, I mean, like, our people are always slighted. They're always slighting our people for clicks and stuff like that. Nobody cares enough about Philadelphia as a whole for clickbaits and stuff like that to slight your people.
Yep. They elevate them just to piss off Cowboys fans.
Yeah.
Which like answer to go ahead, DMV. Sorry.
I saw a list today, and I think that I forget what Eagle fan quote tweeted it, but it had safeties of all time. And I think Brian Dawkins was like number 12 or something like that. And they were like, this list is drunk and this and that. And it's just like, bro, like, you know how many great safeties there were in the whole NFL? And he was ranked number 12. Be grateful. Be grateful. You guys aren't grateful for anything. You just want to cry. And you want to cry and you want to be Dallas so bad. Like that's why you guys compare yourselves to us all the time. Although you guys made the NFC Championship game. You guys were the NFC's representative in the Super Bowl. And you still worried about us. You're not validated unless you can talk Dallas. You're looking for validation. We're not. Newsflash, we're never going to give it to you. We're never going to give you the validation you're looking for, so stop looking for it.
There's no Eagles week in Dallas.
Yeah, facts.
So before I ask you win or loss, I just got to say the worst thing about Twitter is that it takes a friggin' day for one tweet to stand. Fix that shit. All right, sorry. Win or loss, Philly. We're going to Philly. What you got?
Win. Until they can stop Dak from scoring 40 points and winning, I'm going to go with us beating Philly. And also, to the point about the talent, they're losing 2 offensive coordinators. And I said this in the video, and Eagles fans cried for days. They still have a bunch of question marks. Just because you drafted well and you put a whole bunch of young people in and you felt like Gannon was a bad defensive coordinator, you still got to gel. And they still got to play together. And those young guys still got to understand NFL speed. They got to understand NFL schemes. You're not just going to be able to put together a whole bunch of young guys and they go out there and hit the ground running. I don't give a damn how many Georgia Bulldogs you put on the defense. I don't care. It just don't happen like that. If that was the case, the damn Jets would be good every year. The damn Texans would be good every year. Washington would be good every year if it was just that easy, but it's not.
Yeah, they. That's what I go. I'm like, y'all lost your best defender, and their defense is still solid, but they lost their best defender. Hargrave is their best guy. The reason Reddick never got double teams because everybody had to double team Hargrave.
Well,
Hargrave was a monster.
You think he was the best? Because I could argue that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was, and they lost him too.
That's
matter of fact.
Fair. In their front seven, Hargrave was the best because they're a pass rush like team, you know. Yeah. And they go, well, we drafted Carter, and I'm like, okay, and he could be great, and it could take him 2 years to get there, or he may not be great at all, or he could be great, but he's not as great as Jason Hargrave, who ended up being. I don't care where you're drafted. Tom Brady was a 6th rounder. Jalen Carter may never be Jason Hargrave. That guy was a monster. You don't just get to be Jordan Davis. How did he look last year? They couldn't play him. I'm sorry to tell you guys, Eagles fans. I love Jordan Davis. I think he's going to be great. They couldn't play him last year. He couldn't hold up against double teams. He couldn't. And their run defense was better with him on the field. And they barely played him because he couldn't take on a double team. Sometimes you have to understand the speed and the strength of the game at the next level. And that may happen with Hargrave. Nolan Smith is a tweener. He may need a year or two to understand what he needs to do to set an edge at the NFL level, to beat longer arm tackles at the NFL level. It just is what it is. Your team is set up to be awesome for the next few years. But this year you may take a step back because your young guys aren't ready to take the place of a Jason Hargrave or a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, or Brandon Graham's older, or Fletcher Cox is older. That stuff happens. It just does every year.
It does. And think about this. What's their biggest excuse for why we scored 40 on them? Not necessarily that Jalen didn't play, but it wasn't that Hargraves played. It was because Chauncey Gardner-Johnson didn't play. The first game he had 2 picks. You know, so he's not coming off an injury this time. He's not on your roster. So you got a big hole. That's 2 holes. To your point, that's a guy. You have Hargraves as the guy you think is the best. I think that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was the best, and they lost both of them. You know, so hey, you know, like I said, Philadelphia, and I'll stand on this, and maybe they'll answer the questions, but they have more questions than Dallas at this point. It's just the truth, whether you want to believe it or not. You guys know that. That's why you're like, oh, well, so-and-so Jalen Carter broke a sled. You're intrigued because you don't know anything about your defense.
Bingo.
You don't know what scheme you're doing. Like, you're intrigued because you have questions. You don't know what you guys are going to be doing. You don't know who's going to be playing.
Yeah, I had somebody. I go. Offensive coordinators this year are going to go. I'm going to make sure Reddick doesn't kill me this game. I'm going to chip him. I'm going to make sure to double him. And they go, that's great. Leave Davis and Carter one-on-one. And you know what offensive coordinators are going to do? Okay. Beat us.
Exactly.
The rookie and the 1-year guy. We'll wait and see if you could do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, offensive coordinators figured out how to neutralize Micah Parsons by the quick game, you know, and I mean, I don't see why they can't find ways to neutralize guys that aren't as good as Micah Parsons is. So it's the NFL.
Yep.
Mike, do you have this as a winner or loss?
Is Dak playing?
Dak's always playing, yes, sir. Hopefully.
Then we're winning. We got Dak, we beat the Eagles. We got Dak, we beat the division. It's what we do. It's what he does.
Oh, okay. I like that confidence, sir. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles' offense is too much for Dan Quinn and the defense. Dallas loses a tough game to a division rival.
You're dead to me.
Hey, man, I'm trying not to be a homer. I just going 4-0 the first 4 weeks.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you early on in the show? It's okay to be confident in our team. It's okay. Like, for some odd reason, they don't want us to be homers, but they allow everybody else to be homers. It's okay to be a homer. It's okay, you know?
Yep.
Well, hey, I had to start off the season 4-0, so I think that was homer.
I was calling you a homer that whole episode. And I had us 3-1, only one difference.
All right, DMV. I know you haven't really dived into the schedule, but is there a game that you have circled on the calendar?
Oh, I want Philadelphia every time. So Philadelphia, yeah,
Prime
for
time,
sure.
baby.
Yeah, and Washington. I feel like we owe Washington an ass whooping because they
Yeah,
think
week
Sam.
17.
They think that Sam Howell is the guy. Sam Howell was running his mouth after. They really think that they got the best of what we could offer, but we knew that Dallas wasn't motivated to win that game. So, I got Washington circled for the first game against Washington to see. All right, is Sam Howell really about that? Is Eric Bieniemy does he make that much of a difference?
Oh, okay, that's a good one then.
Yeah, I think it was Jonathan Allen even said, he was like, these guys were playing like it was a preseason game. So
yeah,
there was too much talk coming out of them. We're gonna whoop their ass. I heard your record prediction earlier. You said 12 to 13 wins. So I'm gonna steal Paul's question and let him take my last one. Is the Cowboys Super Bowl contenders with their roster this year?
Yes, I do. Yes, they are. Yeah, they are. And I normally never say that. I don't normally want to put that pressure on, but I mean, 12 wins back to back. I think if Pollard is healthy in that game, I think we beat San Francisco, and I think we beat Philadelphia. I truly believe that. Now, with that being said, I think there are other Super Bowl contenders. I think Seattle is probably a Super Bowl contender. I mean, obviously the 49ers, they find a way, so they are. In Philadelphia is a Super Bowl contender. We're all very good teams, and we're going to be fighting for it.
You're allowed to be confident in the Cowboys, DMV.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
That's right.
All right, so you look at the we're talking Super Bowl here. What is your Super Bowl prediction? Who makes it this year?
I think we get Cowboys Bills.
Yes, sir.
Old school, like that.
Cowboys Bills.
Were y'all alive for those 2 Super Bowls?
I was. I saw them.
Was
so
as well.
I was young, but I saw them.
I was a teenager, I believe. I had just turned a teenager.
Yeah, we're gonna get the. We had a Brother Bowl last year. I think we're gonna get a Brother Bowl again. The Diggs clan. So
let's go. I'm ready.
Oh, and they're DMV kids too. They're from out here. So shout out to them.
All right, DMV. We talked earlier in the intro about your YouTube channel and kind of your content creating. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Where we can find it?
Yeah, man. You can find my videos and my content creation on YouTube at DMV Fanartic. I've been rolling out a whole bunch of film, mainly about not necessarily the main people, but people who can become factors. Mainly, I started doing defense, so I did a bunch of defensive guys that could make a leap this year, and now kind of focusing on offense a little bit. So go check that out.
Subscribe.
I can't thank you enough for coming on tonight, man.
Subscribe. This guy has excellent work, and that's from somebody that watches everything. I watch him all. He is one of the best. So get him on Twitter and find him on YouTube. Subscribe, follow. Trust me, you're a Dallas Cowboy fan. You won't be disappointed. And I know for a fact, a few Eagles fans watch us. Get on there and hate his shit. Go ahead. We love it. Get on there and
here's the funny thing. I did a video of Stephon Gilmore shutting down AJ Brown, and I didn't hear a peep. I didn't hear a peep from them. You want to know why? Because they knew that. They knew that when we got them. They knew it happened. They knew why that game was close, and I didn't doctor that footage. Just right there for you to see. So that's another factor as well that people are not there. They're overlooking. Stephon Gilmore is probably healthy. He's probably better than Trey Diggs.
I agree with you.
And so it's pick your poison. And not to mention we got the young lion coming after your quarterback. So this defense is going to be excellent this year.
Hey, what college that young lion? Oh, young. I was thinking you meant young lion corner. Deron Bland, shout out Fresno State.
Yes, sir. Well, DMV, I was saying, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on. Before we get you out of here, let the people know one more time where they can find you on Twitter.
Yeah, DMV Fanartic 1. Yeah, you can check me out there on Twitter. I also have an Instagram, the real DMV Fanartic too. So yeah, go check that out. Not the real DMV, at the real DMV Fanartic. You'll find me there as well.
Do I have you on Insta?
I'm not sure.
I'm at CD Piglet. Easy. Same thing. You'll see it. My shit's all food in Disneyland. I don't even have Cowboy stuff on there. It's only stuff I cook and my trips to Disneyland. So, yeah, hit me and I'll hit the follow back if I don't have you already, because I don't think I do.
Well, Mike, while we're wrapping things up, remind the people where they can find you on Twitter.
At CD Piglet.
Guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
That was great, man.